you hooked for a while. With every take, every truth she'll crack. She's spinning tales with a funny attack. From the silver screen to the podcast track, she's the queen of the scene, there's no turning back. I'm not talking smack, yeah, she's taking the stage. With a bluesy vibe, she's the talk of the age. Reality's a game, but she's never the same. She's breaking it down while she's calling the names. From the crazy twists on the latest show to the deep dive doc that you gotta know, aymack's got the lowdown, she's bringing the heat. With a smile and a wink, she's keeping it sweet. She's got the rhythm, got the jokes on track. With a heart full of fire and a mind that won't slack. In every line, every fact, every laugh she packs. She's rocking the waves, never looking back. Aymackk talking smack, yeah, she's taking the stage. With a bluesy vibe, she's the talk of the age. Reality's a game, but she's never the same. She's breaking it down while she's calling the names. And a story to tell. She's the voice you need when the lights start to swell. From the highs to the lows, she's ringing the bell. Aymack's got the goods and she's doing it well. Aymackk talking smack, yeah, she's taking the stage. With a bluesy vibe, she's the talk of the age. Reality's a game, but she's never the same. She's breaking it down while she's calling the name. She's Aymackk talking smack, the queen of the show. With a heart full of fire, she's ready to go. From the screen to your ears, she's stealing the show. Aymack's got the smack and she's letting it flow.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Thanks for being here. As you can see, my StreamYard updated, so I think all I had to do was talk a little shit, because the next day it had updated. So, you know, I guess you just gotta talk a little shit sometimes. So pretty excited. The dark mode, oh my god, I love the dark mode, because my phone's on dark mode, my eyes, I don't know, they start to strain with the really bright white, so I was really excited about that. So hello Steph B, KM Chats Kendra, I think you're live right now, but thanks for stopping by. So Flo's back in the US. Hey Emmy. Hey Sinner, Grain, LG. I'm a circle now, I know. I felt really left out. And I know there's like a lot of people complaining that the price went up and whatever, but I felt really left out. That I wasn't getting these cool shapes. So, I am excited. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a tinfoil hat stream because a lot of what I'm going to talk about, you know, we're going to talk about theories. We're going to kind of talk about conspiracies. But after I, you know, did the live last week with the Diddy murder board, and Ellen Marsh said the death of Whitney Houston never sat right with her. So I decided to kind of dive into why, because I remember Whitney Houston passing away. It was 2012, and yeah, I don't know. I just remember it, and I was sad. But back then, I didn't really think like, oh, maybe there could be something behind this. Maybe, it wasn't just that she was, on drugs, because the sad thing is, you know, she was using heavily in her life. And sometimes when we have that situation, I feel like if, you know, a person passes away, it is kind of just, you know, swept under the rug and, oh, well, they were a drug user. It had to have been the drugs. Because even our autopsy doesn't make a lot of sense. So I don't know who is responsible. I have some theories, but I don't think it was like an accident. I don't think she just, you know, overdosed and drowned, because so her cause of death was drowning, heart disease, and cocaine. Hey, aymackk, thanks for stopping by. And so yeah, so that was technically her cause of death. But she didn't have she had mild heart disease. So it was like, she had like 60% blockage or something like that, which is not considered, you know, in the danger zone. So very interesting. Hey, Road Rash, thanks for being here. Okay. So I have my little slideshow, and we're going to go through Whitney's final days, what the people around her were doing leading up to, you know, her death, and, you know, what happened during and afterwards, because I didn't know this, but her body was in the hotel room, and I think she was discovered at like 3:30, 3:45, was pronounced dead at 3:55. They didn't remove her body from the hotel room until the next morning. It was after midnight. So I think that is just fucking wild. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. Let me pull up my presenter window. Okay, so in the days leading up to her tragic death, Whitney Houston was reported to have appeared disheveled and erratic, raising concerns among those close to her. Eyewitness accounts from various media sources described the legendary singer as being in a state of visible distress. Her behavior markedly different from her poised public persona. This period of turmoil has since been a focal point in discussions about the pressures and challenges faced by celebrities, particularly those in the music industry. So we're hearing a lot of this coming out about, you know, obviously Diddy. And so, yeah, and I'm going to dive deeper into this. I'm already starting another kind of research live on the Uptown Records, the 5 people from Uptown Records that have almost all passed away. So, you know, we'll get into that later. Houston's struggles with substance abuse and personal issues had been public knowledge, but the stark contrast in her demeanor during those final days serves as a somber reminder of the human vulnerabilities behind fame and talent. Okay, so Whitney's final days. Okay, so Whitney arrived in Los Angeles Monday, February 6th for the Grammys and Clive Davis's party. So Clive Davis, he is the head of Arista Records. He signed Whitney Houston when she was 19 years old. They were very close. He was also the godfather to Bobby Christina, her daughter. So she stays in the Beverly Hills Hilton under the pseudonym Elizabeth Collins and is in room 434, the presidential junior suite. And we're going to go through a walkthrough of the room. I pictured Whitney Houston staying in a much nicer hotel room than the one she stayed in. Hey, Lindsay Lee, what's up, Freak Snake? So put a pin in that. Okay, so Whitney's entourage to LA. So Mary Jones, who was her aunt and longtime assistant. Ray Watson. Pat Houston, who is Whitney's sister-in-law. Ray Watson was her brother. So like her brother-in-law on the Houston side. Bobby Christina, her daughter, who was 18. Nick Gordon, who was a troubled, he was described as, you know, a troubled young adult that Whitney kind of took in. Didn't like legally adopt, but she took in. And weirdly, Nick Gordon and Bobby Christina end up getting married eventually. So that's also kind of a weird little sidebar. And then Nick decides he gets to get a +1. So his friend Sean shows up, random. And then Ray J. So Ray J. He is... Okay, so he's described as the Forrest Gump of hip-hop. And what that means is he is always in the background when shit goes down. I was trying to find more examples, but he, you know, was around Whitney Houston when she passed away. She was like, he, I guess, had been hanging around Wendy Williams when shit went down with her. He was with... I think he was with, Tupac the night he got shot. So, like, he is just everywhere where bad shit is happening. So, if you guys see Ray J, run. Because Ray J, he's like the kiss of death. He's the Grim Reaper. So, if you see Ray J, get away from him. Okay. So... Something to note, so around November of the previous year, so this all happened in February, November of the previous year, she had just wrapped a movie with Jordan Sparks called Sparkle. I didn't see it. I heard it was not that great. And one of the like stipulations for her contract for that movie, yes, Ray J's Brandy's little brother. So one of the stipulations was she had to remain sober. So it was rumored that she was sober leading up to her death. So, you know, just kind of keep that in mind. Okay. So Whitney on Tuesday, February 7th, she goes and records the duet for the movie Sparkle. And, you know, was really excited about it. She was in good spirits. She went and showed Clive Davis. She was really excited about it. And then apparently in the gift shop of the Hilton, she loses her fucking shit because she sees this National Enquirer headline. Whitney collapses, strung out, broke, and it's worse than you ever thought. And I can see, like, if I was trying to get my life together, how this would affect me. And just gonna say, if the National Enquirer is reporting anything on you, that's probably not gonna be in the best light. So she flips out about this headline. Later in the day, she is seen at the pool doing handstands. And so another thing that was kind of noted about this time in her life is she was trying to get a comeback. She was trying to get healthy. She, I guess, was swimming every day. Swimming. Okay? She was swimming every day. For 2 hours. So also put a pin in that. So she was like showing off that she could do handstands, but Whitney, you're too famous to be doing handstands at the pool. Anybody doing handstands over the age of like 12, I'm gonna look at you weird. Right? Okay. So on Thursday, so we're going to fast forward. There wasn't a lot of information what happened Wednesday, but there was a lot of events going on. So Thursday, February 9th. So as Whitney was, you know, walking through the hotel lobby from the pool, actually, and she sees Clive Davis, Brandy, and Monica doing an interview. So this is a news clip of that interview, and it was just kind of weird. Like, they're just full on doing an interview, and she just walks up and kind of interrupts them. So.
All right, we're going to go back to 2 days before Whitney Houston's death, Thursday. And this was something that was very strange. She crashed an E! News interview. It was a TV interview with singers Brandy and Monica and Whitney's mentor, Clive Davis. And it was a very odd moment. Take a look, and then we're going to analyze it.
Did you hear your name? Did you hear it? They've been paying tribute. They've been paying tribute.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. I meant to just pause it, but freaking come on. Okay.
All right, a very odd moment. Take a look, and there.
They've been paying tribute. They've been paying tribute.
This is my dad.
So what's weird is she's like, "This is my dad. This is my dad." Let me move this square.
Dad, I'll see you later. I'll see you later on.
Okay.
Mom, come see her. Come say hi to come say hi to your godfather. Okay. Come say hi to your goddad.
Say hi to your goddad.
Okay, that was.
Okay, and I'm pissed because this little like ribbon thing they have blocked the weirdest part, which I hope they show.
His daughter, Bobby Christina, who gave Clive Davis a hug at Whitney's urging. I want to go to Ken Baker, E! News chief correspondent, who knows all about what happened here, because it struck me as a little odd that she's wearing sunglasses indoors. Yes, she's a movie star, but and a musician who often do wear sunglasses indoors. But what struck you about this odd interchange?
Well, there's a lot of interesting things about that, and
Okay.
as you mentioned, this is the last known video that we really have.
Try to pause it. Okay, so I don't know if you guys noticed, but she hands Brandy a note.
Interesting things about that, and as you mentioned,
Okay, so see, there's a note in her hand. Now watch Brandy. Watch what she does.
this is the last known video
She peeks at the note,
that we really
kinda.
have of her before she died, and so for that reason, I think that everyone
she
watching it at home and
hands it
just
off.
everyone that I know who has seen this video, it's very moving and chilling, really, to see her in those last moments.
Hey, Okie.
It's the last
Have a good
images
night.
we really have. So that being said, a little context here. We were interviewing Brandy, Monica, and Clive Davis. They were promoting his Music Cares, the benefit that Clive Davis has every year. And they were giving an interview to us, and Whitney Houston just was staying at the hotel, as we know now. She had just been at the pool and was just walking by and basically hopped into the interview room unannounced, and to the surprise of everyone. And you can see in the video, including Clive and Brandy and Monica, and of course Brandy on the left there. If you look very closely, you can see that actually Whitney handed some sort of note to Brandy, and they've known each other for a very long time, and you can see that she looks at the note and then hands it off to an assistant. And if you replay it enough, you can actually see this happen. Brandy looked a little uncomfortable, it seemed to me, and to a lot of people who've seen it.
Okay, so she hands Brandy a note, and Brandy has said she will never reveal what the note said, who the note was for. I mean, we assume it was for her, or unless it was for Ray J, her brother, because again, Whitney was kind of off again, on again, dating Ray J, which also is weird. He was like 25. But, you know, do your thing, I guess.
I think that what you saw there was Whitney Houston, just as a lot of people did see her, which was just a very normal person, kind of didn't have a lot of boundaries, kind of spoke her mind. They always had a lot of levity to her, and was a very, very emotional, loving person. You can see there she's bringing Bobby Christina in to give a hug to Clive Davis, her godfather. So it was just a very interesting, candid moment.
What are they going to do her like that with these pictures? They're making her seem all crazy. And I don't know if these pictures are from, we'll talk about there was a party she went to, which I think is our next slide. But so yeah, so she crashes the interview with Brandy and Monica and Clive Davis. slips Brandy a note, and we don't know what the note said. So, another just weird thing that happened. And so, what you kind of didn't see, so Monica asks, "Why are you wet?" to Brittany, or to Brittany, to Whitney, and Whitney says, "I swim 2 hours every day." So it's just weird to me that she swims every day, 2 hours a day, so she must be at least an experienced swimmer, no? But she drowned? I mean, you know, I get the allegations, you know, that she had the drugs in her system. I think she had Benadryl, Xanax, so maybe like the combination of the three, but just very interesting. Okay, so later that night, there is, so Kelly Price has a party at True Nightclub. I think it's called the I Love R&B, or the For the Love of R&B. And she gets up on stage with Kelly Price, and they sing a song together, Jesus Loves Me. So this is the last kind of time Whitney was seen or performing before she passed. And here's a clip. Oh, I think I have to go to my other page to play it.
You tell me you love me. I heard you. Boy, tears, so I love you so much. And tell you.
So I guess later at the party, she is, or like literally a few minutes later, she is seen fighting with Stacey Francis over Ray J. So I don't know if Stacey was like, you know, looking at Ray J, talking to Ray J, but basically, Whitney says something like, "Stay away from him, you bitch, I'm a cougar," or something like that, which I'm like, go ahead, girl, you're a cougar, get it. But don't fight over, guys, come on. So she gets in an argument with Stacey Francis. Whitney's then photographed. I couldn't find the photos, but it was mentioned in a podcast I listened to that she was then photographed leaving the club, and she had like scratches on her leg. Not sure if that came from, you know, I don't know if the fight with Stacey got physical or what have you, but she, I guess, was seen with scratches on her leg. Okay. So that night, Wendy, I keep calling poor Whitney, I'm sorry. I keep calling her different names. And I think why I called her Wendy, so this is kind of a funny sidebar story. So my uncle, when my uncle was alive, he posted this Facebook post, and he said, my mom, which is my grandma, my Japanese grandma, he said, "Bless her little Japanese heart, she told me today that Wendy Houston died. I thought it was an old friend of hers, but I later found out it was Whitney Houston. So that might be why I called her Wendy, because my grandma called her Wendy Houston." Okay, so Whitney has a premonition. So she has this premonition that she needs, like, something's telling her to go check on Bobby Christina. And she bursts through Bobby Christina's room, and Bobby Christina is floating in the bathtub. So this is the Thursday before. So on Saturday is when Whitney is then found floating in the bathtub. And we're going to go through a room, kind of a room tour of room 434. So apparently, I didn't know this, but in hotels, and let me actually find the actual name for it because I don't want to give it the wrong name. So room at the end of the hall hotels. Okay. So it doesn't say. I guess there's not like an actual thing on it, but apparently it's called like the murder room or the death room, the room at the end of the hall in a hotel. Had no idea. So we are going to go through room 434. So this video, I don't know why this person put their kids in this video, so I do apologize for that. But this was the only room, this is the only video I can find where the room, it showed the room. So this lady, I guess, picked this room to stay at the Beverly Hills Hilton because Whitney passed away there, which is kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie.
We are at the Beverly Hilton, getting ready to go into room 434. Can't wait to see what this is. It really?
So her kid's like, it's amazing. Like, why?
Let's see what it looks like.
Like they're seriously excited to see the room where Whitney Houston passed away.
Where's the bed? Right there.
That way.
Wow.
Oh, what's in the mirror?
Okay, so you walk in, there's obviously like a living area.
I still found the mirror. And then Coco was here.
And then the room.
OMG, that is a patio.
So I really want you guys to see this bathtub, okay? Okay. Can you see? I just can't see an adult floating face down, because she's found face down in that bathtub. It doesn't look big enough. Maybe it's the camera, but like, I don't know. I don't know. It just really, seeing it, I was like, that just looks like a really small bathtub. I know. Why would you take your kids there? That is super strange. So yeah, I really just wanted to show the bathtub. Yeah, it does have a really good balcony. And I guess Whitney was like yelling off this balcony. I don't know. Anyways, I just wanted to show you guys the bathtub because yeah, it's like, I don't know. There's a shower. Okay, we're going to get into the bathtubs because hotel bathtubs, right? And there's a shower right there. Okay, so Saturday, February 11th. So Whitney has breakfast with some fans, which was a weird note, but just wanted to note that. She talks to her bodyguard, who is her brother-in-law, about John the Baptist. And technically, I guess her bodyguard was outside the room the whole night, or just the whole day, which is super weird. Whitney makes all sorts of calls. So she's rapid calling people, her mom, her aunt, her sister-in-law. Some people aren't picking up. And before Clive Davis's party, so Clive Davis always had the Grammy pre-party the night before the Grammys. And so Whitney had a VH1 interview and was going to shoot an infomercial for some candles. So I guess her sister-in-law started a candle brand and really wanted Whitney to endorse it, which is super interesting. Right? Yeah, it's not like a jacuzzi tub. Yeah, it's like super small. Okay. So Mary Jones, her assistant slash aunt alleges she's the last person to see Whitney alive. She said she was in the bathtub brushing her hair. So, first thing, I don't brush my hair in the bathtub. I don't know if anybody else does. Hey, Rockabit. But I'm not brushing my hair in the bathtub. And I think Whitney had like a wig. You're not getting your wig wet. You're not going to brush your wig in the bathtub. Just is very strange. And let me see. So Whitney's goddaughter said in a documentary, I think there was like a Lifetime documentary, also that Whitney would never take baths in hotel bathtubs because of how dirty they are, right? And I agree. Hotel bathtubs, they are not cleaning. They're not gonna like scrub the bathtub. Like before I would even take a bath in my own house, I'd scrub the bathtub just because, you know, you're sitting in that water. So, oh my gosh. And I totally forgot. And I think you guys can hear my neighbor's dog, so I apologize. But I totally forgot. So remember when she had the premonition about Bobby Christina drowning in the bathtub? So Nick Gordon, the like troubled guy that Whitney kind of adopted, and his friend said that Whitney was telling all of them about her premonition and kept saying, don't go in the water. The water is evil. So somebody that just had a crazy premonition about their daughter dying in water, telling people water is evil, doesn't like hotel bathtubs. You cannot tell me that she's getting in a bath. And who takes a bath, like a relaxing bath before you're going to go party? I don't know. These are just all things that popped into my head that I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so Mary Jones is her assistant, and so she's in the bathtub brushing her hair. And while Whitney's brushing her hair, she says, yo, Mary, go get me some cupcakes. So this is a little bit strange because cupcakes, whatever. But so Whitney asked her to go fetch some cupcakes, which left Whitney alone. So mind you, famous celebrity, somebody that, you know, they're trying to keep sober, right? Who's going to leave them alone for 45 minutes? I can't picture anybody leaving Whitney Houston alone for 45 minutes. It just seems like she probably always had somebody with her, right? And technically her bodyguard was outside the door. So initially Mary reported that she visited Neiman Marcus, okay? She never mentioned cupcakes. But then I guess at the conclusion of the Whitney movie that was made, she claimed she went to get cupcakes instead. So there was never any mention of cupcakes, like being in the room, in all of the reports, anything like that. So why the cupcakes? Why change your story from Neiman Marcus to the cupcakes? Neiman Marcus, I can see, it's a department store, right? So if you need to get something for your, you know, like the Grammy party or whatever. So just interesting that she changed the story to she went to get cupcakes. An unnamed record executive staying in the room above Whitney reported hearing a thud followed by a man's voice. Which also doesn't make sense because usually you don't hear people below you, right? Like I think in an apartment or a hotel room, you don't really hear the people above you, below you, you hear them above you. So that was also weird. So when Mary returned, okay, 45 minutes later, Mary, the assistant, returns. All the lights are out in the room. the room was flooded. Now, she claims the water was up to her ankles. But the faucets were turned off. So that means someone else went in the room after Mary left, or Whitney flooded the room and then turned the faucets off. I mean, I don't know. And how does the room get flooded in 45 minutes? So people below her were complaining about the water coming through, and everyone was saying that, like, the water was, like, just everywhere. But who turned the faucets off? And who turned the lights off? Did the bodyguard leave? Like, who went in the room? So this was at, like, 3:45, I believe, or 3:30, when the assistant finds Whitney Houston face down, mind you. So I can see, like, if you fall asleep in a bathtub, you kind of would slide down. I don't know if you'd be face down, right? Am I crazy? Okay. Okay, so after Mary finds her, I think her sister-in-law comes down, like all of her family members start coming down trying to figure out what's going on. And then I think it was 3:45 or 3:43 is when 911 is called. And so here is the 911 call.
911 emergency. Hi, how you doing? This is security from Beverly Hilton. Hi, what's going on? I need paramedics. Apparently, I got a 46-year-old female found in the bathrooms. That's all I've got right now, but they're requesting paramedics. Oh, okay. Female fell in the bathroom. What room is she in? I'm not sure. She fell or she was in the bathroom with the water. 434. I'm sorry. That's room 434? Yes. Okay. And there's not east-west or anything else? It's room 434? Yeah. Okay. And you don't know if she's conscious of breathing at all? Apparently she wasn't breathing, and she's 46-year-old. She was not breathing? Yes. Okay, but she is breathing now? I don't know. Okay. She was...
Oh, sorry about that buzzing.
The person that called me was irate and didn't get much out of her. Okay, you have security.
Okay, so if you can kind of hear, the guy said that I don't really have that much information. The person that called me was really irate.
Going there now. Okay, we'll send police and fire over. There was a person not breathing. Did it sound like the person was still not breathing? Yeah, that's correct. Okay, we'll get them there for not breathing. Is there any way you can get me to the room so I can try to do CPR? Yeah, we're going there now. Can you get me into the room so I can try to give CPR instructions? Oh, I'm sorry. No, because she kept hanging up on us. Kept hanging up on you? Yeah. Okay, all right. We're getting our units over there, okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you, bye-bye.
Okay, so whoever called 911 or called to the front desk to have them call 911 kept hanging up on security. I mean, I guess they were distressed, but just interesting that, like, they couldn't give them any information. So paramedics get to the hotel. They pronounce Whitney, I think, dead at 3:55. So the show must go on. So while the investigation was ongoing on the fourth floor, Clive Davis's party went on downstairs. So she was found at about 3:30, about 3:55, she's pronounced dead. And like I said, they did not remove her body from the hotel until after midnight. So there is a full-on party going on downstairs while Whitney Houston is lying upstairs. Okay? Just let that sink in. So at 9:45 p.m., Clive Davis takes the stage. I think that I meant to put takes the stage, and makes a statement and dedicates the night to Whitney Houston. So she's not even out of the hotel yet, and we're dedicating shit to her. So then, wah, wah, wah. Diddy then makes a speech. Says Whitney wouldn't want everyone to be somber and makes everybody give Clive Davis a standing ovation. So later, Shaka Khan, who was Whitney's friend, and she decided against going to Clive Davis's party, said no. Whitney would have been like, no, bitch, this isn't right. We need, like this isn't right. So all the while, Whitney's body is still upstairs. Okay. So the coroner, so she is pronounced dead at 3:55. I know I said that over and over and over, but the coroner arrives at 10:20 p.m. Like, why did it take so long? What were the, I guess the police were there, the paramedics were there. I guess the police didn't actually call it into the LA coroner until after, an hour before. So it took the coroner about an hour to get there, which makes sense. But why did it take the police so long to call the coroner? What were they doing? Okay. So she's finally removed from the hotel sometime after midnight. Okay. So another super weird thing. Hey, Nicole B. Oh, this is twisted. So she's pronounced dead at 3:55. Mind you, it had been about an hour before that I believe she got in the bathtub. Okay. So around 9:35 p.m., the temperature of the bath water was finally taken, and it was 93.5 degrees. At 9, so 7 hours later. The water was still 93.5 degrees. So there was somebody that kind of did the math and backtracked, what that meant the water temperature was at when she got in the bathtub, and that would have been 120 degrees. Why? Who would put their own body in water that was 120 degrees? So this video is Dr. Drew, and he's kind of analyzing her autopsy, and he brings up really good points.
Dr. Drew, every weeknight 9 Eastern on HLN.
She's in a bathtub, and she's not slipped into the bathtub. She's flipped over, and she's face down underwater. And
Indeed.
I think before we went on the air, you said the temperature of the water?
This is perplexing. This is the one thing that got me. When she was declared dead at 3:46 in the afternoon.
Okay, 3:46.
The temperature of the water was not taken until later that night at 9:35 p.m. and it was 93.5 degrees 6 hours after she was declared dead.
How is that even possible? Can you, is that like a self-heating bathtub?
This, according to the detective at the scene who actually took the temperature of the water, and whilst he says there were no signs of foul play, that is an unanswered question, and I feel that this report really provides more questions than it does answers.
I completely agree with you. Now, Shelley, before we get into the autopsy report here, the spoon at the bedside, you think it was like a little spoon that she's using to spoon cocaine into her nose?
Yes, I would say
It's
so.
not a spoon that she's using to heat up.
Okay, so there was a spoon found with a white residue and a rolled up piece of paper, and then a mirror with a white residue, but they didn't find any actual drugs. So if she had cocaine, it wasn't there.
But do something else with it.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm sure it had something to do with
All right.
cocaine.
And a deviated septum as well was found.
Not a
as part
deviated
of the-
septum, a perforated septum. Perforated septum. So I want everyone to know at home exactly how I read this autopsy report. Here's what we see. Perforated nasal septum. The septum, the thing that separates the two nostrils in your nose, dissolved. It gets dissolved by long-standing
Oh, wow. Dissolved. That's scary.
chronic use of cocaine. Number two, she had emphysema from cigarette smoking, undoubtedly. Number 3, she had something called a fatty liver, which is something you get from drinking a lot, and you have to drink fairly recently. We found cannabis in her system. We find cocaine in her system. Everyone knows that. Now, this theory that she had some kind of heart problem, I take issue with that. She had mild, let me say, not even mild, minimal heart disease on this autopsy report. 60% coronary artery stenosis is something that no doctor would ever do anything with because it's harmless.
So again, so they named heart disease part of her cause of death, but it was like Dr. Drew said, it was so mild that people, a doctor wouldn't even do anything about it.
You would watch it over the next 10 to 20 years. Now, the theory they're trying to promulgate is that she must have had a rhythm disturbance in her heart or maybe a clot that formed in one of those arteries and then dissolved, neither of which is there any evidence of in this report. That's a pure guess about what happened to her. But I say there's some other clue in here, her being upside down in the bathtub, and the fact, Shelley, you tell me if this suggests the same thing to you. Low levels of Xanax in her blood, in spite of empty pill bottles at her bedside, which should have had large amounts of Xanax in it. How do you put that all together?
I think that, what we're looking at is possibly some sort of seizure that created her to flip over.
Yes.
And unconscious,
if
you're in the face down in the water and you've had a seizure, you're unconscious.
Here's a way to induce a seizure. She induced a seizure by not taking Xanax after having been on it for a period of time. The blood levels go low, seizure goes up.
Yep.
Cocaine induces seizure as well. Cannabis is of no help here. So she's on all these things that can create seizure. Everything looks like she had a seizure, and they're saying heart disease.
And booze was found in the room as well.
Not only, but she had no booze in her blood, which is another thing that can cause seizure, is the booze coming out of your system. So she may have been trying to get off some of these things and needed more medical supervision. It's kind of crazy.
This question, though. This provides, as I said earlier, more questions than it does answers.
Absolutely.
But is this
But what about the water? The water is always going to bother me.
Common in instances whereby the full report is released that we're asking more questions?
I got to tell you, in my...
Is there any way to determine if she did have a seizure?
No, not that I know of. Unless I'm not a pathologist. Maybe they have some. You know what? There's enzymes, there are muscle enzymes you can test for that might be up in her blood system if she broke down muscle from seizing so much. That's
An important thing to note, and we don't want to feed into the conspiracy theories. This is the report from the County of Los Angeles Department of Coroner. The Beverly Hills Police Department is still doing its own investigation, has said all along that they will close this case on receipt of this report. That hasn't happened just yet.
I don't think they should close it because this still leaves open the possibility of foul play. This weird, super hot water.
Hot water is
that's
very,
perplexing.
very odd. That's very odd.
How hot was it 6 hours before? And staying hot all day? There must be an explanation for that.
Self-heating bathtub, he said.
I don't know what that is. But face down, lots of cocaine around her, cocaine in her system, and low levels of the other substances that she clearly had been using because she has empty bottles of large amounts of this.
Going into a bathtub that has hot water, would that be a contributing factor to bring on a seizure?
No, not my.
No?
Not that I'm aware of anyway. Shelley, you had experience with that?
No.
Do you interpret this any differently than I do?
No, I think that the combination, obviously, between the low levels of Xanax and the high levels of cocaine can create what we're talking about. Because that's the only thing that makes sense that you would be upside down in a bathtub.
And let's be fair, we're talking. Shelley and I are accustomed to talking about this as though we're talking about some abstract person. This is someone that everybody loved. This was a mother. It is a very sad story, and it is part of the nefarious, treacherous course of addiction. Addiction kills people by so many different means, and that is what this.
Okay, so that was Dr. Drew's take on the autopsy. So I'm not a doctor. I don't know about the seizure stuff. It could be plausible. Another part about the autopsy I wanted to talk about was just what they noticed on her body. So a lot of people said it looked like she had been beat up. She had bruises and abrasions on her arms. So you can kind of see, so right here, scratch. Like these were all scratches, contusions. And then this right here, I guess, was a burn. So she actually was burned. And I think it says that, like, there was actually, like, skin that you're missing from her. But the water was too hot. She would have felt the water before getting on. Yeah, to shut the water. Yeah, exactly. Who shut the water off? And if it was to the point that the whole room was flooded, who turned the water off? It's so strange. So she had abrasions on her legs. So remember that there was reports possibly of her having scratches on her legs after leaving the nightclub and fighting with Stacey Francis. But still just, you know, contusions on her arms. And I guess if she had a seizure, you know, sometimes if you're, oh gosh, just knocked something off my desk. I guess if you're like, you know, thrashing, maybe you bruised arms and legs. But I just thought it was very interesting. And I have the full coroner report. Maybe one day maybe next live we'll kind of dive deep into the coroner's report. So yeah, she had a big burn on her back. So I don't know, it's just weird, because if you think she was burned on her back, she must have been back first into the hot water, but then she was found face down. So it's just weird. It's just all fucking weird. Okay. So now we're going to watch some videos that I found on YouTube, and I will link these in the description after the live. So this one is Kanye West reveals why Clive Davis killed Whitney Houston. So he thinks Clive Davis is responsible. And I think, so I have two videos I want to watch. They might have similar information, but we'll just roll with it.
Exactly what happened inside the iconic Beverly Hilton remains a mystery. Paramedics raced to the 4th floor and found a lifeless Whitney Houston inside her hotel room bathtub. They tried in vain to resuscitate her with CPR.
You're out in Hollywood, a lot of people come up missing. Feels like it might be a lot of that.
Contrary to the...
Okay, so Kanye's crazy, we know that, but I don't know.
Coroner's conclusion that her death was accidental, Hubel claims that Houston's body shows classic defense wounds consistent with someone fighting for her life.
Did Kanye West just expose Clive Davis for killing Whitney Houston? Kanye recently spoke about how Hollywood elites will often stage a celebrity death to make it look like they unalived themselves, and fans are now saying that this is exactly what happened to Whitney. See, just hours after Whitney was discovered in her hotel room bathtub, her longtime mentor Clive Davis held a pre-Grammy party in the same hotel, and he allegedly knew that Whitney's body was still in the building.
I don't know what could motivate a person to have a party in a building where the person whose life he had influenced so enormously.
Well, and if you think about it, like, Whitney Houston was not a small artist. Allegedly. Yeah, Whitney Houston was not a small artist. I imagine he made a lot of money off Miss Houston.
Whitney's friends and family have called out Clive for disrespecting Whitney. However, fans are now saying this whole situation is much more serious. In fact, a lot of people are convinced Clive is one of those Hollywood elites that Kanye talked about who have the power to make celebs disappear. But does this mean that Clive was somehow involved in Whitney's death? And why are fans saying that Clive's pre-Grammy party was a ritual? Let's get into it. It's been 11 years since Whitney...
Okay, all of this is alleged.
Houston, one of the greatest, if not the greatest singers of all time, passed away, and Whitney's fans are still hoping the real truth of her death will come out one day. See, there are so many different conspiracy theories about Whitney's final days, but the most popular one involves Whitney's mentor and record producer, Clive Davis. After Kanye West recently exposed the dark side of the music industry and claimed that Hollywood executives had built a system to traumatize and monetize celebs, Whitney Houston's fans reignited the conversation about Clive Davis's infamous 2012 pre-Grammy party, and most of them are even saying that Clive was somehow involved in Whitney's death. To give you some context, Whitney Houston died on February 11, 2012, on the same day she was supposed to perform at Clive's pre-Grammy Awards party at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills.
Oh, she was supposed to perform. Okay.
But just hours before the scheduled party, Whitney's assistant discovered Whitney lying face down in a bathtub filled with water. Whitney was unresponsive, and her assistant called Whitney's bodyguard, Ray Watson, to help her get Whitney out of the tub. Ray later told the Mirror that the scene in the bathroom was surreal, and he panicked because he couldn't understand what happened to Whitney. I couldn't tell if she was alive or dead, Ray said. I got her out of the water and tried to revive her. Then it was all crazy. Whitney's assistant and her bodyguard called 911, and the paramedics arrived at Whitney's hotel room at 3:30 p.m. They performed CPR, but sadly it was too late, and at 3:55 p.m., Whitney Houston was pronounced dead.
We have breaking news tonight out of Los
And like I said, I will remember the day I found out she died, just like the day I found out Michael Jackson died. It was insane.
Angeles, the death of singing star Whitney Houston at the age of 48. Details are still coming in, but her publicist has confirmed her death to the Associated Press, although the circumstances and the place are not clear.
Now, the cause of why Whitney died wasn't immediately known, and the local police said that there were no obvious signs of criminal intent.
Isn't there a lot of conspiracies that allegedly the LAPD's paid off, right?
However, after conducting an autopsy and running toxicology tests, the LA County Coroner's Office concluded that Whitney's death was caused by drowning combined with the effects of heart disease and use. And though the autopsy report noted external trauma on Whitney's body, the coroner ruled that there were no signs of foul play. However, Whitney's fans felt that there was something suspicious about the whole thing, and the speculation reached a boiling point after it was revealed that Clive Davis decided to go through with his pre-Grammy party at the Beverly Hilton after he learned Whitney died. Now just think about it.
So, I get it. You do a party every year, but if you think somebody who's you're the godfather of their kid, they're calling you dad, this is my dad, I don't know. I just feel like these people are so selfish.
About this for a second. The Whitney Houston died, and her longtime mentor and other celebs were totally fine dancing and having fun while Whitney's body was above the banquet room. Make it make sense. As for Clive, he claimed that he wanted to pay tribute to Whitney because that's what she would have wanted, and he insisted that Whitney's family didn't ask him to cancel the party.
Why did you let the party go on?
Of course, this is a personal thing, but the Grammys were the next night. You don't cancel. You turn an evening into a tribute.
You did a magnificent evening.
Did
you give a thought to canceling?
Never.
You never thought?
So, he never thought of canceling his party.
Never.
Did you ever think?
And the family did not want me to give a thought. No.
However, several Whitney's friends and family have since come forward to say that Clive disrespected Whitney by partying at the same hotel where she died just hours before. In fact, Whitney's longtime friend Shaka Khan said Clive's decision to go through with the party was insanity, and it was actually the opposite of what Whitney would have wanted.
You were, I think, going to go to the Clive Davis party.
Yes.
It was a surreal event where Whitney's body was still in the hotel, and there was this sort of party where apparently half the room were in tears, the other half were kind of partying. What did you feel about that?
I thought that was complete insanity. And knowing Whitney, I don't believe that she would have said, the show must go on. She was the kind of woman that would say, stop everything.
And I don't know Whitney Houston, obviously, but I could see her saying, nope, they were not doing this.
Shaka Khan also criticized Clive for saying that the party was a tribute to Whitney because it simply made no sense that someone who supposedly loved and cared about Whitney would have the strength to party hours after she died.
A true tribute, might have been a truer, a more honest tribute in my opinion, would have been maybe call everybody together, let's say a prayer, and let's eat dinner and go home. I couldn't get dressed. I was supposed to go to the party. I just got off a plane from Miami at about 5:30. As soon as I hit the tarmac, I found out, I heard, and I couldn't put on makeup. I couldn't get dressed. I couldn't do anything. I was paralyzed.
And I could see that. You couldn't put makeup on me. I'd be freaking bawling my eyes out. Right? And I'm sorry, but it looks like Clive might wear makeup too. So wasn't your makeup running?
I couldn't do anything.
Besides that, there have also been speculation that Whitney was beaten before she died. And though the official autopsy report made no mention of this, several industry insiders, including Jaguar Wright, claimed that Whitney's family saw her body was beaten.
They saw her body. She didn't just die in a tub, like she was beat up.
And then, on top of all that, a clip recently resurfaced on social media showing Whitney crashing an interview with Brandy, Monica, and Clive Davis. And
oh, there's the note. There's the note. Dear Ron, or dear Sam, Ron made out with a girl at bed.
Passing a note to Brandy while repeatedly saying the word drowned. Keep in mind that this interview took place just 2 days before Whitney died, and this led fans to speculate that Whitney knew she was in danger. You can hear her say, "I nearly drowned today twice," one fan said. Really creeped me out. And another...
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Showing Whitney crashing an interview with Brandy, Monica, and Clive Davis, and passing a note to Brandy while repeatedly saying the word drowned. Keep in mind that this interview took place just 2 days before Whitney died, and this led fans to speculate that Whitney knew she was in
I really hope they're not showing actual footage of her being wheeled out to the ambulance.
danger. You can hear her say, "I nearly drowned today twice," one fan said. Really creeped me out. And another fan commented, "Am I the only one hearing Clive Davis say you have to pay tribute? Pay him tribute? This video just stirs my soul with suspicion."
And I did hear him say we're paying tribute, which is kind of fucking weird.
And revelations. And then what's also incredibly disturbing is just 3 years after Whitney died, her only child, Bobby Christina, also passed away in the same manner as Whitney. On January 31st, 2015, Bobby's former fiance, Nick Gordon, and another friend found Bobby face down in a bathtub in her home in Georgia.
Okay, so there was a study that I found, like, adults drowning in bathtubs is not common. I think there's like some study where I think it's like you see mainly like kids that would drown in tubs, not adults. It's very rare. And to have her and then her daughter die in the same way?
Bobby was still alive and breathing when the paramedics arrived, and doctors placed her in an induced coma. However, after being in a coma for nearly 6 months, Bobby Christina died on July 26, 2015, at the age of 22. The initial autopsy found no obvious underlying cause of death and no significant injuries. However, it was later determined that the underlying cause of death was immersion associated with drug intoxication. But the manner of death could not be confirmed, and the autopsy report stated that the medical examiner was not able to determine whether the death was due to intentional or accidental causes. And then in July 2020, Nick Gordon, Bobby's former fiance, who discovered her body, also died of a suspected OD. Bobby Christina's dad, Bobby Brown.
Oh, shit. I didn't know Nick Gordon died. Okay, and so Bobby Brown, who's Bobby Christina's dad and Whitney Houston's ex, he believes that Nick Gordon had something to do with it because he was there for both deaths.
Later claimed that Nick was involved in both Whitney and Bobby Christina's deaths by supplying them with drugs. However, fans still dismissed these claims, pointing out that Bobby was probably trying to deflect from the fact that he was the one who introduced drugs to Whitney. Fans are also saying that Whitney's substance use and the way she obtained those substances is beside the point, and we need to look at the bigger picture and the people who profited from her death. Of course, fans are now pointing the finger at Clive Davis, and some of them are even saying that Clive's pre-Grammy party was a blood ritual. Clive Davis is the mastermind.
Okay, I don't know about a blood ritual.
And one fan said, Whitney was literally sacrificed. That party was a ritual. They partied knowing that her dead body was in the hotel. And another fan added, Clive Davis having his pre-Grammy party as Whitney's dead body was being wheeled out was grotesque. And also a reminder of how disposable Whitney Houston was to the people she turned into multi-millionaires. So if these people profited from Whitney's work, what would they have to gain from her being dead? Well, when we're talking about huge stars like Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, and Prince, they're actually worth more dead than alive, because when someone big like that dies, their catalog instantly starts doing crazy numbers. Also, the celebs can never challenge the labels and others involved for the full control of their music. Now, when it comes to Clive Davis, as of January 2023, he has a net worth of $850 million, which makes him one of the richest men in the music industry.
He's so
Now, to be
gross.
clear, Clive didn't earn all his money after Whitney died. He's been building his fortune for a very long time. However, Whitney's fans are still convinced that Clive is somehow involved with Whitney's death, and they're saying that this is exactly what Kanye warned us about. Kanye isn't crazy or delusional, one fan said. He's wide awake and speaking on the truth of how things need to change before the industry keeps killing to profit when things don't stay the way they want them to. And another fan wrote, "We've been saying this for years. We all know what they do to celebrities. God bless you, Kanye. Stay true to the Lord and he will guide your way. The elite would be frothing from the mouth that this is exposing them. We all know what happened to the others that did. R.I.P. But let's hear your thoughts on this. Is it possible that Whitney Houston was murdered? And do you think rumors about Clive Davis being involved in the death are true? Comment down below. And if you like this video, don't miss out on this next one.
Okay, what do you guys think? So I think I did too. I think I say, oh no. I was known to sing I Will Always Love You at the top of my lungs when I was little though. So I know there was like, I think reports of Michael Jackson, I think saying he felt like he was going to get killed for his catalog, which makes sense because, you know, like she said, celebrities are worth more dead than alive because one, when they're dead and all their, you know, music starts getting streamed again and listened to, they're not alive to collect the money, you know, the royalties. It'll go to her estate, which I think Clive Davis has control over part of her estate. Okay, so we have one more video. Some of this may be information that the other one went over too, but I think there's some.
You want to know what Clive Davis did for Whitney Houston? He needed her back. He needed her back.
Oh, God, sorry. We're going to do 1.5.
You want to know what Clive Davis did for Whitney Houston? He needed her back. He needed her back. But he needed her back and under his control. And the next thing you know, she's dead.
It appears Clive Davis is currently in full-blown panic mode, all because there's some rumor floating around. Whispers in the grapevine are suggesting that he could be linked, albeit indirectly, to the heart-wrenching downfall of none other than Whitney Houston herself. So what exactly is going on? Clive Davis, often hailed as a virtuoso music producer and executive, is famed for his role in launching the careers of some of the biggest stars in the industry. Most notably, the late Whitney Houston, a once-in-a-lifetime vocal powerhouse, fell under his spell when she was just a young artist with boundless potential. And unluckily for Houston, signing with Clive would be the beginning of her demise. In an interview, R&B singer Jaguar Wright delivered a scathing critique of the Whitney Houston biopic, shedding light on the motivations behind its production and reigniting conversations about the circumstances surrounding Houston's tragic demise. Wright's bold remarks provide a raw and unfiltered perspective on the industry's exploitation of the late icon's legacy. I don't know if they play this movie and you see no kind of substances in this movie. You feel like it's an injustice to what this look, Wright asserted, expressing her skepticism about the forthcoming biopic's authenticity. I feel like anything with her name on it is strictly for the purposes of financial gain for those who have access to her estate, including Clive Davis.
Yeah. So we're kind of seeing this with like Sebastian Rogers. Anytime somebody puts his name in a stream, they're getting all these views. So I think people do capitalize on, you know, what's gonna bring the dollars.
Wright's criticism didn't stop there. She explicitly called out Clive Davis, the renowned music executive closely associated with Houston's career, accusing him of exploiting the singer's talent and struggles for personal gain.
This ain't a film to celebrate Whitney Houston. This is a film to, you know, pay the pipe.
Referring to Davis's purported efforts to help Houston overcome her challenges prior to her death, Wright didn't mince her words.
He needed her back. He needed her back. But he needed her back and under his control.
Wright went on to highlight Davis's actions leading up to Houston's demise, including sending her on an international tour despite her ongoing struggles with substance AB. However, Clive Davis is not the only person that Wright mentioned. Jaguar Wright revealed that Ray J was the...
So yeah, he sent her on an international tour, and there's some videos of, you could tell she was struggling. Like, she was not hitting her notes. Yes, so Pookie. So when I dove into the Diddy murder board, oh goodness, a lot of this shit's connected to Clive. I'm gonna go deeper kind of into all of the weird deaths that have happened around Clive Davis, because there is a lot of people that it just all of a sudden just died mysteriously. It's fucking weird.
The last person to see Whitney Houston alive, and that he was actually the one who let the substance dealer into her room to drug her.
She's dead. Ray J was the last person to see her alive. He let the drug dealer in, but she was sober, right? But he let the drug dealer in that gave her the shot.
She went on to say that Whitney had been beaten up before her death.
Leola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, has said on several occasions that she was beaten. They saw her body.
So remember I showed on the autopsy all the abrasions on her arms and her legs.
She didn't just die in a tub, like she was beat up.
Although Jaguar doesn't mention who was responsible for beating up Whitney, all the fingers currently point towards Ray J. In fact, after learning that Houston's cocaine use was one of the causes of her death, the icon's ex-husband, Bobby Brown's sister Leola, reportedly claimed that Ray J knew someone who sold substances and accused him of providing substances to Whitney. Leola reportedly claimed that she witnessed Ray J leaving Houston's hotel room when her former sister-in-law died. She then accused Ray of being a runner boy for the music legend because he knew somebody that sold subatances, from whom he bought and supplied them to Whitney. In addition to this, in a resurfaced interview, Ray J can be heard saying that he could get Whitney to be sober if he wanted to. This interview was conducted while Whitney was still alive, which meant that Ray J was actually controlling her at the time. What's even more shocking is that in that same interview, Ray J also admitted to using Whitney for clout.
Why wouldn't you get her sober? Why would you brag about that and then not help her? It's,
He also spoke about how at first he didn't want to sell his soul for Whitney, but later on decided he should take advantage of that option. At this point, it is clear that Ray J did not care about Whitney and only used her to get his fame. Later on, when Whitney died, Ray J was seen at her funeral grabbing her casket and faking tears for fame and to catapult his career. In 2017, Ray expressed his regrets about what happened to Whitney and even confessed that he was to blame. Speaking to singer Stacey Francis during season of Celebrity Big Brother, Ray brought up the events from 2012, saying, "Stacey and we had a conversation about what happened with Whitney Houston before she passed. I never talk about it, but it was something I felt she wanted to talk about, and it was the right time, so we talked briefly about it, and I told them how I felt, how I blame myself on a lot of stuff." Ray also insisted that...
So I looked at those, so they were on Celebrity Big Brother UK edition, and he kept saying, it's my fault, it's my fault. Very interesting.
That although several media outlets offered him millions to reveal secrets of the music icon's death, he turned down every single proposal. He said, "I had so many people calling me offering millions of dollars to have an interview. I was like, I don't need the money. It's not good money. That's just not right. My karma would be bad." Many fans who were devastated by Whitney's death were quick to point fingers towards Ray J's suspicious behavior. "I remember when I first heard the breaking news of her death on the radio, and they said Ray J found her, and then they came back about 10 minutes later and said it was her bodyguard named Ray that found her. That never sat well with me, nor did the way Ray J reached out for her casket at the funeral. It was for show, and that's why his demons are tearing him up now," one fan wrote. Ray J and Whitney Houston had a well-known and often speculated about relationship that has captured the public's attention for years. Whitney Houston was already an established superstar by the time she met Ray J in the early 2000s. On the other hand, Ray was a young up-and-comer when he first met Houston. He had
riding his sister's coattails.
Had already begun his career as an actor, appearing on shows like The Sinbad Show and Moshe, and had just released his debut album, Everything You Want, in 1997. At the time, he was still a teenager, and he quickly became enamored with Houston's talent and presence. It's not entirely clear how the two met, but they quickly became close
Probably because she did didn't she do Cinderella with Brandy? That's probably what
friends. They were often seen together at events and parties, and Ray J even appeared on Houston's reality show, Being Bobby Brown, in 2005. The show, which followed Houston and her then-husband Bobby Brown as they went about their daily lives, gave viewers a glimpse into the couple's tumultuous relationship, but it also showcased Houston's affection for Ray J. As the years went on, rumors began to swirl that Ray J and Houston's relationship was more than just platonic. Some sources claimed that they had been romantically involved, while others insisted that they were simply close friends. Despite the speculation, neither Ray J nor Houston ever confirmed or denied the rumors. After Whitney died in 2012, Ray J was reportedly devastated by the loss, and in interviews following her death, he spoke candidly about their relationship, describing her as a mentor and a friend. "I think that Whitney knew that I really cared for her," he told Access Hollywood in 2012. "I'm not the person that everybody thinks I am. I'm a good dude. I just want to see her rest in peace, and I want her family to be okay." In any case, despite the claims that Ray J might have actually been responsible for Whitney being on substances, we still cannot dismiss Clive's involvement in all this. In fact, recent revelations are now showing that Clive might have actually benefited more from Whitney's demise compared to when she was alive.
There's a clause in record contracts that allows record labels to cash in even more after an artist's passing.
You see, the world of music...
Hold up. So there's an actual clause in record contract. What? The record industry hidden death clause exposed, proving the artist is worth more dead than... Holy shit.
passing.
You see, the world of music contracts is a labyrinthine maze, riddled with complexities that often escape public scrutiny. Hank Harrison, a muckraking reporter, is someone that appears to have stumbled upon a chilling discovery buried deep within artist contracts, the infamous death clause. This clandestine clause, also referred to as a non-performance or failure of performance clause, raises eyebrows due to its alarming implications.
The company shall have the right to secure insurance equivalent to 10 times the estimated value of the artist's earnings.
This clause, as unearthed by Harrison, is a contractual provision that grants recording companies the astonishing power to rake in immense profits, even in the face of an artist's untimely demise.
In short, here is what a death clause does in my humble opinion. If an artist fails to perform or pay back advances, the artist becomes more profitable dead.
This seemingly nefarious maneuver ensures that record labels are entitled to claim not only their investments, but also a substantial portion of the artist's earnings from various revenue streams. The mechanism, shrouded in secrecy, empowers companies to secure hefty insurance policies against the artist's projected
Well, we solved all these deaths. There's a fucking death clause.
earnings, effectively making them beneficiaries of the artist's life and death. The inception of the death clause dates back to an era where the corridors of power were controlled by shadowy figures, reminiscent of scenes from the silver screen. It appears that this clause was designed to guarantee the label's financial security and influence, even if it meant profiting off the demise of an artist. In essence, the clause suggests that an artist who fails to meet performance obligations or repay advances becomes an even more lucrative asset in death. Intriguingly, this malevolent clause has evolved over time, adopting a subtler facade while maintaining its exploitative essence. Once valued in thousands, it now holds the potential to be worth billions, owing to the colossal investments labels make in nurturing and promoting burgeoning talents. The insurance policies procured under this clause serve as a safeguard against potential losses in the event of an artist's incapacity or demise, thereby safeguarding the label's investments and projected profits. Amidst this maelstrom of revelation.
Okay, so that's fucked up. So there's literally a death clause so that in case you die, you as an investment is protected for the record company.
Speculation has begun to swirl around the extent of Clive Davis's involvement with the death clause. As a mastermind behind the success of many artists, including Whitney Houston, questions arise about whether he reaped any benefits from the tragic loss of his prized protege. While no concrete evidence has surfaced linking Davis directly to this exploitative clause, artists and insiders have started to come forward, painting a troubling picture of his role in potentially capitalizing on the grim provisions of the clause. Whispers have transformed into outspoken voices, as several artists shed light on their experiences within the clutches of the music industry's dark underbelly. Their stories echo the same sentiment, that the death clause, once a well-guarded secret, is not a relic of the past, but a contemporary reality. It has been alleged that Davis and other industry magnates might have leveraged this clause to their advantage, using it as a financial safety net against unforeseen losses. One person who spoke about this is avant-garde musician Diamanda Gallis. Days after Houston's tragic demise, Gallis took to her Facebook page calling the record executive a colossal pig. According to Gallis, Houston should have been allowed to study for a minimum of 2 years with a voice therapist or teacher before even rehearsing, let alone performing, on stage. In the entry, she claimed that the singer was put back on stage before she was ready to perform by Davis. Gallis wrote that Houston was...
Yeah, like I said, there was a video of her performing overseas, and it was not good.
Ill-prepared to perform, writing, "What was she put on stage as? A lesson that substances kill. Hey, want to see a crack-ho sing? Courtesy of Clive Davis. Wow, man, that will be some freaky shaw, right? You bet, man." Gallis didn't stop there, claiming that Davis could now, quote-unquote, package her death in frills and sell it big time, even during the nadir of record sales. She even went so far as to claim to foresee what the 79-year-old record industry vet would say in response. And Clive and Sony will say, "Even though we do not hope to even break even with this uncompromising tribute to Whitney Houston, we feel personally that it is her due as the foremost singer ever on our labels and as the lovely girl she always was to us." At the time, a spokesman for Davis responded by saying, "While Miss Gallis is entitled to her uninformed opinion, her Facebook post is wholly inaccurate and offensive. Clive Davis cherished Whitney and shares a mutual love for the Houston family. It is absolutely outrageous for anyone to suggest that Mr. Davis ever had anything but Whitney's best interest at heart. If you think it's only Gallis making these insinuations, you'd be wrong." Gallis's comments were echoed by Jaguar Wright in a recent interview where she claimed that Davis knew he needed Whitney back under his control, and that's why he was forcing her to have a comeback.
He needed her back.
Oh, yeah.
He needed her back, but he needed her back and under his control.
For context, Clive orchestrated Whitney's comeback in 2009 after years of substance AB and a messy relationship which ended in a messy divorce. Her debut album, I Look to You, sold 304,000 copies in its first 7 days on the market, sending Houston back to the top of the charts and giving her the best debut week of her career. Houston still stands for the best of songwriting, the best of singing, and we know the public wants it, Clive said in 2009. There is a song on this album which is called I Didn't Know My Own Strength, and it really speaks for Whitney. She tumbled, but she didn't crumble. In any case, Whitney did not release anything after that since her voice had been ruined due to substance AB, much to Clive's disappointment. But despite the undeniable vocal decline and the unmistakable shadow cast over Whitney's star power, Clive's optimism seemingly remained unscathed. Of course, one might wonder if his rosy outlook was fueled by the substantial coin he continued to rake in from her legacy. It's difficult not to speculate whether Clive's unwavering hope was propelled by the echoes of revenue streams rather than genuine concern. In any case, it was no secret that the music mogul appeared to be more invested in making money than in his protege's well-being. You see, Whitney died on February 11th, 2012, the day before the Grammy Awards. This was hours before she was to attend Davis's annual pre-Grammy party. At the time, the public and lovers of her music worldwide were devastated by her passing. However, Davis, Whitney's self-proclaimed friend and mentor, still hosted his pre-Grammy party in the Beverly Hilton Hotel on the evening of February 11th, despite the singer's body remaining inside the building until 12:45 a.m. At the start
12:45 a.m. What? Why was she left up there for that long? That's insane.
Of the event, he shared a tribute to Houston saying, "By now you have all learned of the unspeakably tragic news of our beloved Whitney's passing. I don't have to mask my emotion in front of a room full of so many dear friends." The Grammy Award winner continued, "I am personally devastated by the loss of someone who has meant so much to me for so many years. Whitney was so full of life. She was so looking forward to tonight even though she wasn't scheduled to perform. Whitney was a beautiful person and a talent beyond compare. She graced the stage with her regal presence and gave so many memorable performances here over the years. Simply put, Whitney would have wanted the music to go on and her family asked that we carry on." Whitney Houston's death on the eve of the Grammys in 2012 came as a horrific shock, if not entirely without warning. The platinum-selling singer and actress was to attend Clive Davis's annual pre-Grammys bash at the Beverly Hilton that night, but instead, she died in a room upstairs after accidentally drowning in the bathtub. It was reported at the time that the LA County Coroner's Office noted in its post-mortem findings that a white crystal-like substance was found in the room. There was also an open bottle of champagne and other personal items believed to belong to the late songstress. An autopsy was performed with the official cause of death listed as accidental drowning with atherosclerotic heart disease and cocaine use, just probably immediately prior to the drowning listed among contributing factors. Toxicology screens found Benadryl, Xanax, marijuana, and the muscle relaxant Flexeril in Whitney's system. As if Whitney's death wasn't shocking enough, her daughter Bobby Christina Brown died in the same way 3 years later. Bobby Christina Brown, who was born in 1993, was the daughter of two music icons, Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown. Whitney and Bobby Brown met in 1989 and married 3 years later. While fans often assume it was Bobby who led Whitney into a dark place, the I Will Always Love You singer herself revealed that she had a part in her substance demise. Although Whitney was a star, her substance AB led to missteps along the way. As Vanity Fair noted, she often arrived late to appearances and occasionally lost gigs. In 2009, she opened up to Oprah Winfrey about her substance addiction. She had been to rehab twice at that point, once in 2004 and again in 2005, and would give sobriety another shot in 2011. In the interview, Whitney revealed, "We were lacing our marijuana with base. We weren't on crack. We weren't on no crack stuff." She went on to add, "We weren't buying $20 jumbos. We were paying
What's base?
money. We were buying kilos and ounces and ounces. We would have our stash." Whitney said that substances sometimes gave her a sense of relief, telling Oprah at the time, "Don't forget, there were some times we'd laugh our tails off." Despite her many attempts to clean up her act, substances were cited as a contributing factor in Whitney's death. Speaking with Rolling Stone in 2018, he said of his ex, "She was really working hard on herself to try to be a sober person." Asked what he thought contributed to her death, he said, "Just being brokenhearted." Whitney Houston, the legendary songstress with a voice that could move mountains, met a tragic end on February 11th, 2012. Her untimely demise sent shockwaves through the world, leaving fans in the music industry reeling from the loss of one of its most iconic figures. While her legacy remains immortalized through her music, understanding the circumstances surrounding her death requires a closer examination of the events leading up to that fateful day. Officially, Whitney Houston's cause of death was ruled as an accidental drowning, compounded by heart disease and cocaine use, according to a detailed 42-page coroner's report. The report revealed a cocktail of substances in her system, including cocaine, marijuana, Xanax, Benadryl, and Flexeril. However, it was determined that only cocaine and its metabolites contributed to her passing, while the other substances were deemed non-lethal. Los Angeles County Chief...
Okay, so heart condition and cocaine caused her to drown. I don't know. That just doesn't fit with me. I don't know.
Coroner Craig Harvey shed light on the investigation, stating that the presence of water in Houston's lungs indicated that she was alive when submerged. Despite the cocaine level not reaching lethal thresholds, her death was complicated by chronic cocaine use and pre-existing heart issues. Coroner Assistant Chief Ed Winter outlined two possible scenarios. Houston may have lost consciousness due to cocaine intoxication or suffered a heart attack before drowning. The tragic discovery of Houston's lifeless body occurred within the confines of Suite 434 at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills, California. The sequence of events leading to her discovery unfolded rapidly. Just 40 minutes before her death, Houston had a seemingly normal conversation with her mother, Sissy Houston. However, less than an hour later, hotel security was alerted to her unresponsive state in the bathtub by her assistant. Police arrived promptly as they were already stationed at the hotel for Clive Davis's pre-Grammy Awards party. Despite efforts to revive her, Houston was pronounced dead at 3:55 p.m., marking the end of an era in music.
Okay, so she was seemingly fine talking to her mom an hour before. I mean, I guess you could, but they said it wasn't even a lethal amount of cocaine.
Houston's sudden departure sent shockwaves across the globe, prompting an outpouring of grief from fans and colleagues alike. Her death dominated headlines and served as a sobering reminder of the perils of substance AB. Despite the passage of a decade, Houston's influence remains unparalleled, cementing her status as one of the greatest singers of all time. In the days leading up to her demise, Houston appeared to be in good spirits. Just 2 days prior, she attended rehearsals with singers Brandy and Monica for Clive Davis's star-studded event. On the same day as her passing, Houston made her final public appearance, delivering a stirring rendition of Jesus Loves Me alongside Kelly Price. Houston's struggles with addiction were well documented throughout her life, shedding light on the darker aspects of fame and celebrity. Her death served as a poignant reminder of the dangers of substance AB and the toll it can take on even the most talented and beloved individuals. Despite the tragic circumstances surrounding her passing, Whitney Houston's legacy endures. Her music continues to inspire and uplift audiences worldwide, serving as a testament to her unparalleled talent and enduring spirit. Tributes to Houston poured in from around the world, honoring her memory and celebrating her remarkable contributions to the world of music and entertainment. In the wake of her death, Houston's impact on the music industry and popular culture remains as potent as ever. Her voice, once a beacon of hope and inspiration, continues to resonate with audiences of all ages, reminding us of the indelible mark she left on the world. Though Whitney Houston may have left us too soon, her legacy will continue to shine brightly for generations to come, ensuring that her memory will never be forgotten. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.
That was an abrupt end. Anyway, that's it. That's it for this. Bye. Okay, so the death clause, I didn't know about that shit. So, very interesting. A whole bunch of theories just popped into my head after hearing that, especially because she wasn't doing well. She was trying to get a comeback. Oh gosh, was he just securing his investment? Okay, so that's kind of the end of my presentation into the mysterious death of Whitney Houston. So now you guys can kind of see the rabbit hole I went down, how none of this really makes sense. Clive Davis did have reasons for her not to be alive as well. Oh gosh, now with this whole death clause thing, this is gonna send me into another fucking rabbit hole. Oh Lord, because that just, oh my gosh, that just makes so much sense for so much other shit. Yikes pikes. Okay, well thank you guys for going on that ride with me. Like I said, me opening this can of worms kind of is going to lead to other live streams that I want to do regarding all the mysterious deaths that are surrounding all of these people. I mean, I'm not saying Clive Davis, did anything to anybody himself. I'm just saying he's very powerful, very rich. And it's just sad. It's sad when somebody does have substance abuse problems. It just seems like people didn't look into it as much as probably this should have been looked into. Because, they can just write it off to, oh, she was a user. That's not fair. So look out for, future lives on the subject of all these crazy situations that are unfolding in front of us. I want to thank Rockabit and Steph B, because they told me to look into Jaguar Wright, which sent me, into a lot of research on this subject. So we're gonna end this with a little performance from none other than Whitney herself. And hopefully I don't get copyright on this. So I hope you guys have a good night. please don't forget to hit the like on your way out. And replay crew, if the chat's gone, it's because I had to remove something from the stream. Okay, so take it away, Whitney.
Share my life, take me forward. Darling, I don't if I don't have aymackk talking smack, we're out of here. Got the hottest takes, let's make that clear. Reality docs and podcasts too. We've talked it all, now it's time to get it due. But don't you worry, we'll be back again with more fire content. We always bring the win. Aymackk talking smack, signing off the track. We brought the heat and we'll be back. So hit that like and don't forget to sub. We're always here to keep it real, no dub. We dissected, debated, and broken it down. Aymack's got the buzz all over town. From reality drama to podcast flair, you know with aymackk we're taking it there. Aymackk talking smack, signing off the track. We brought the heat and we'll be back. So hit that like and don't forget to sub. We're always here to keep it real, no dub. We dissected, debated, and broken it down. Aymack's got the buzz all over town. From reality drama to podcast flair, you know with aymackk we're taking it there. Aymackk talking smack, signing off the track. We brought the heat and we'll be back. So hit that like and don't forget to sub. We're always here to keep it real, no dub. Thanks for tuning in. You know where we're at. Catch you next time on aymackk talking smack. Thanks for tuning in. You know where we're at. Catch you next time on aymackk talking smack.